Hey, what's up guys? If you've been wanting to make Anki actually work in nursing school, this is the exact no BS step-by-step guide that you've been waiting for. All right, so in this video, we're gonna cover how to download and sync Anki across your different devices, how to make good cards that actually save you time rather than waste it, how to boost your productivity with the right settings, the 2 hidden Anki mistakes that nursing students often make, and then lastly, how to download pre-made decks that have already been made for you to save you even more time, and I'll even give you one of my decks at the end. So with that, let's just get started. All right, so to download Anki, go online. I'm gonna start on the computer here on the desktop. I'm just gonna search for Anki, A-N-K-I. First one comes up here, ankiweb.net, and then you're just gonna hit download. And it's gonna take you to either Windows or Mac. You're probably not using Linux. And then this is not a price, it's the version. So let's go ahead and download for Windows because that's what I've got. It'll download it here, and then you just launch the installer, and then you just hit install, and I already have it installed, so I'm not going to go through the process. Go ahead and install the app. When you open it up, this is what you'll probably see. Now, you're not going to have quite as many blue text on the top. Again, I have an add-on that gives me even more detail, and you're not going to see this here, but you will see default with some white text on the top that says Dex, Add, Browse, Stats, Sync, and a couple things on the bottom. This is your main screen. I want to kind of walk you guys through what each of these means. So this default here is a deck of cards. Now, granted, there are no cards in this deck because we haven't made any yet. Over on the right is a little settings gear, things you can edit about this deck. This decks button takes you to this screen. It's kind of your home screen for Anki. It has all your different decks if you end up having multiple decks. Here is the add button if you want to add a card. Here is the browse button where you can browse through all the cards you already have, which we don't have any yet. You don't need to look at stats yet, don't worry about it. And then sync is for when you also have it installed on your phone, then you can synchronize it with your phone as well. Let's go ahead and just add a card and kind of get into it. So you go to add, or you can hit A, shortcut for add, and then it brings you to this little screen here. And the first thing we need to make sure that you have correct is under the type of card here, make sure you're not on basic. Basic is a traditional flash card where there's a front and a back, which that's fine, but what makes Anki very powerful is its cloze deletion cards, which right here, cloze, C-L-O-Z-E. Cloze basically means fill in the blank. So make sure that your type of card is set for cloze. Then this first text box is technically like the front side of your card, the one that you will test yourself on. And this is kind of the back side, but this is really just meant for extra information. That's why it says back extra. The reason you don't really need a traditional back is because these are going to be fill in the blank cards. So let me just show you how it works. Let's say I want to remember my cat's name. I could say my cat's name is Katniss. All right, so that's the thing I need to remember. Now what you can do is double click a word if you need to remember that word, and you can hit this button here for cloze deletion, or like it says there, you can just hit Control-Shift-C. That's what I usually end up doing, Control-Shift-C. It puts these double brackets around it, and it says C1 for cloze deletion 1. That's because you can put multiple fill in the blanks in one sentence. So if I wanted to remember my cat's blank is Katniss, I could do a second cloze deletion, and that would be cloze deletion 2. But I'm not going to do that. I hit Control-Z to undo that. So this is what it looks like on the back end. Let me go ahead and save this card, or add it, and then I'm going to close this window, and I'm going to open up this deck so you can actually see what the card looks like. So I hit the deck, I'm in my default deck. It says I have 1 new card I've never learned, I have no cards that I'm actively currently learning, and none I have to review. So I'm going to go ahead and study now. And this is what it looks like. It says, oh, my cat's name is blank. To flip the card over to see if you got it right, you hit the spacebar. It'll highlight whatever the answer was. Now you'll also notice on the bottom here, there's a couple buttons. I want you to ignore all of these except for the one on the far left and the good one. Okay, so when you use Anki, remember, Anki is designed to use spaced repetition. So every time you get a card right, it's going to push the interval at which you see this card again longer and longer and longer. And it's kind of hacking our neurobiology to help us to learn things most efficiently. So when you get a card right, you're going to hit good, or you can hit the space bar again. That's what I do. If you get the card wrong, you're going to hit again or the number 1. Now, usually what I do is I just end up having my hand on my keyboard. I have my first 4 fingers on 1, 2, 3, 4, and my thumb on the space bar. And I just kind of go through these quickly. I hit space to flip the card. It's space if I got it right, and then 1 if I got it wrong. So I know my cat's name, and so I'm going to hit space. I got it right. Now it's showing this again because we haven't changed our settings yet. When we get our settings corrected, you wouldn't see this again. But again, it's asking for my cat's name is whatever, and I could hit it again. Katniss. I knew it. Cool little thing, if you hit E when you're on a card like this, E for edit, it'll automatically bring up the card on the back end, and you can edit things. I want to show this to you because I want to show you how you can give a hint within the fill in the blank area. So let's say it was a little bit more of a confusing question and I wasn't really quite sure what I was asking myself. After the answer, but before the ending double bracket, I hit 2 more colons, and then this can be a hint, like her name, right? Now, here, it's the first closed deletion, this is the answer, and then the double brackets, and then this is the hint that will show up. So let me close this, and it'll make sense. Now it's saying a hint inside of the bracket. So my cat's name is her name is Katniss. I knew that. I'm going to hit the space bar. The other thing I want to show you on these options on the bottom is, again, this is if I get the card wrong. Now, this is saying when I will see it next. So if I get the card wrong, it's going to show it to me again in less than 1 minute. That's what this means. If I get the card correct and I hit good, it's going to show me the card again in less than 10 minutes. If it was really easy, it would space it out to 4 days. Again, don't do that, but I only highlight that to show you how the spaced repetition is working. If you're good at something, it's going to space it out even longer. So I'm going to hit good. I got it right. It's going to show it to me again because I technically said I got it wrong that one time. Again, I got it right. I'm going to hit the space bar, and here it's saying tomorrow, in 1 day, it's going to show me this card again. Congratulations, you finished this deck because I only had 1 flashcard in the deck. So what I want to do now is show you a couple more realistic cards you would probably be using as a nursing student. So here I've made 20 cards about the introduction to pharmacology. I'm going to click on this deck just so you can see some better examples. So this is asking which pregnancy trimester is most risky for fetal exposure to medications. So that would be your first trimester. So I'm going to hit this over and it says first trimester. So this is a great example of how the hint was pretty helpful for what I was asking. Also, this is a cool little example here of how you can put stuff on the back side of that card for that extra information. So here I just screenshotted a PowerPoint that I had made. So if my students wanted to look back at the PowerPoint I had given them, kind of in reference to this detail that they're memorizing. Let me pull up the edit slide so you can just kind of see what I'm talking about. So you'll notice here it's saying close deletion 1. Here's the answer. I have those double brackets, and then here is that hint. Here's the rest of the card, and then back extra is that extra information. So here I literally just took a screenshot of the PowerPoint and copied and pasted it into the back side. So now when I flip the card, I'll know if I got the question right, and then I'll also be able to see this additional information that I put in there. All right, so I got that right, so I'm going to hit good. Pharmacoblank is the study of what the drug does to the body. I believe that's pharmacokinetics. I can't remember that one. Ooh, pharmacodynamics. I always mix those two up. So pharmacodynamics is the study of what the drug does to the body. So I got that one wrong. So I would say 1, I got it wrong. Schedule number blank medications have the highest abuse potential with acceptable medical use. So that would be Schedule 2. Schedule 2 medications. And again, I have copied and pasted some things from my PowerPoint slides into here. So you get the idea of how this works. I'm going to hit good. Oh, look, some things from Grey's Anatomy. Great. All right, so that's generally how they work, and those are closed deletions. And I like that you can kind of see why the hints are helpful because you can just blast through these cards very quickly. Another thing I want to bring up is when you're making cards, put the minimum necessary information on each card so that it's simple and quick to read and you know exactly what you're asking yourself. And so, oh, look, Katniss is coming to say hi. Say hello. Ow. All right. You don't want to have a whole paragraph of text. You don't want to just copy and paste the whole PowerPoint slide and put it onto one card because it's going to be tedious to read. You're not going to know what you're really asking yourself. So minimum necessary information on the card, and get right to it. So pharmacodynamics is the study of, I think it's what the drug does to the body. Yes, and I got that right, so I would hit good. Here's another cool thing to point out. Here's an example of when I had one sentence that had 2 closed deletions on it. So I only had to type it once, but I got 2 flashcards out of it. So here, the first card, the C1 card, says pharmaco blank is the study of what the drug does to the body. But the second card is pharmacodynamics is the study of blank. And so I'm able to memorize the term and the definition very easily. And again, for both of those, I literally just highlighted the portion that I wanted to memorize and hit Control-Shift-C, and I moved right along. And it's just very fast. It's much faster than handwriting cards. There is a little bit of an art to it. You get better at it as you go. All right, so I've done a couple of these cards on the desktop. Now let's switch over to the mobile version and download it there and then sync it and see how things work. So what I'm going to do now is sync this. Now this is not syncing to my phone yet because I haven't downloaded it onto my phone yet. This is syncing to what's called Anki Web, which is a website that has Anki. You can access that both on your phone or on your desktop. I'm currently using the computer app, but there is a website you can go to as well. So this is going to sync the cards that I have made and the cards that I have studied to Anki Web. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, it's asking for an account. So let's sign up. All right, so then you gotta agree to these terms and conditions. All right, so they sent an email. So I'm gonna pull up my email. Okay, so once I went into my email and clicked on the email that they sent me, I said verify email, and it brought me to this page. Your email has been verified, your account's ready for use. I'm gonna proceed. And now I'm on the Anki Web website. So you'll see I'm at ankiweb.net, and I'm at my default deck here. Now I'm gonna go back to the app and sync this. Oh, so now it's asking for my account information. So you have to sign in with your Anki Web account into the desktop app. Now I'm going to see that it's synchronizing. So it just synced this app with the website. So now if I go back to the website, let me hit refresh. Now you can see my updated deck with the number of cards that I have worked on. So now the desktop app and the Anki Web website have synchronized. Now I need to go over to my phone and download Anki here. All right, so I'm going to open the App Store and I'm going to search Anki. I already kind of had it pulled up here. So search Anki, and then this is the one that shows up. Now I have an Android, so it's easy. I just do Anki Droid. I'm going to install that one. Now for Apple users, the correct Anki app is unfortunately $25, but trust me, it is worth $25. It is way higher yield than any textbook you're ever going to buy. I would recommend it. It's a one-time purchase, then you have Anki for life. If you don't want to pay for it, then you could still use the Anki Web version on the computer for free, or you could even go to the Anki Web website on your phone for free. It's a little more clunky, but it would work. Anyway, here I've got Anki Droid installed. I'm going to open this app, and then it says let's sync from Anki Web. So I got to type in my email address here again, and my password. I don't want to save that. I'm going to say no because this is technically my wife's phone. Okay, and then you can already see that it has already synchronized from Anki Web. So you can see that I have my nursing pharmacology deck on here. It looks like it's still, sure, I'll allow notifications. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and just flip through some cards on my phone so you can kind of see what it's like. So nursing pharmacology, let's hit the deck. Okay, pharmacoblank is the study of what the drug does to the body. Pharmacokinetics. I'm going to show the answer. Gosh, I always get that one wrong. Pharmacodynamics. So I'm going to hit again because I got that one wrong. Scheduled blank medications have high abuse potential with no acceptable medical use. That is Schedule 2. That's an easy one. No, with no acceptable medical use. Oh my gosh, I need to slow down and read the cards. Schedule 1 medications have a high abuse potential with no acceptable medical use. That is Schedule 1. But again, there's that back PowerPoint screenshot. I can even see it on my phone. Wasn't paying attention, so I'm going to hit again. Controlled substances are regulated by the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency. Good. The text in red is an example of a generic or brand name. So red is ibuprofen, which is a generic name for Advil. And I like here how this hint kind of, if I didn't have that hint in there, I wouldn't really exactly know what I'm asking myself, right? Or especially like 6 weeks from now. What if 6 weeks from now I'd see this card? If I didn't have that hint in there, I'd think, what exactly am I asking? And so that's the benefit of putting that hint in there. So this is an example of a generic name. So good. You get the idea. I'm going to stop here, but this is how it would also work on my phone. I'm going to swipe back to my main deck. I'm going to hit the sync button. And now this is syncing to Anki Web. Now I'm going to go back to Anki Web here and sync again, and you should see that the 4 and 16 should change a little bit because I actually studied some of those cards on my phone. So the blue here is the number of new cards I have not seen, and the green ones are things that I've seen, but I'm still kind of reviewing. So now that has synced to Anki Web. Let me go back to my desktop app and sync that as well. And then you'll see that the numbers have changed here as well. So that's how all three of those kind of play together. So I'm always kind of using the app on my computer because it's just, I like the shortcuts and it's fast, and then I also use it on my phone. I mean, I do Anki in a lot of places. Sometimes in between patients, if I have extra time at the clinic, I do it at the grocery store or wherever I am. I can pull it out. If I have 5 minutes, I can do like, in 5 minutes, you can do quite a bit, like 20, 30 flashcards. And if you do that in 5-minute increments throughout the day, you can slam 100 cards a day, no problem. All right, so now I want to talk about settings because the default settings on Anki are okay, but they can slow some things down, and there's a lot of great medical students have put in a lot of work to optimizing these settings, and we should take advantage of that. All right, so for settings, let's go to the desktop app. I want you to pull up the your main default deck or whatever you've called it. Go to the settings gear and go to options. That should pull this up here. And there's a couple things we need to edit. So the number of new cards per day that you can see, that's up to you. I would probably recommend going a little higher, at least 50. And then for maximum reviews per day, so reviews are cards that you've already seen before, I would really set this to like the max that you can, because the algorithm will be hamstringed if you don't let it give you enough reviews. Remember, spaced repetition is about active recall at specific points in time that's best for your brain based on the number of times you've gotten that right or wrong. And if you limit the algorithm, it won't be as helpful for you. So I would be able to do the maximum reviews you can and just learn how to get in the habit of doing 20 or 30 cards here, 20 or 30 cards there, 20 or 30 cards here throughout the day. Honestly, when you're walking to class, if you're walking somewhere, just do some then, right? So set your max reviews to as high as you can. Then here we need to pay attention at learning steps. What you need to realize is there's 3 kinds of cards in Anki's algorithm. There are brand new cards. There are cards that are called review cards, meaning you've already gotten them right a couple times and now Anki expects you to know them. And then there's lapses, which is it was a review card, then you got it wrong, and now it's treating it like a brand new card again. So for new cards, we're here under new cards. Learning steps is how many times you're going to see it before Anki considers that you have memorized this card. So now what it says is it's going to start with seeing it at 1 minute and then at 10 minutes. We want to change that to 15 minutes, 1 day, and 6 days. But it thinks in minutes, so let's just say 15 minutes, space, 1 day, which would be 1,440 minutes, space, 6 days, which would be 8,640 minutes. I don't have that memorized. I definitely looked at my notes for that. Then the graduating interval is one last step that you have to get this right when it's still considered a new card before it transitions or graduates to being a review card rather than a new card. So for this, 15 days. Now you'll notice here it says my easy interval is wrong, and that's because it's saying if I hit the easy button, it should push it out even further, so we'll just push this to 60 days. Don't worry too much about that right now. So what this means is when you see a brand new card, when you get it right the first time, you're going to see it within 15 minutes. The second time you'll see it within a day if you get it right again. If you get it right again, you'll see it 6 days later. And if you get it right again, you'll see that 15 days later. At that point, if you get it right then on the fourth time, it'll then transition into a review card. And every time you get that card right, it'll continue to space out the time to an even longer amount of time before you see it again. Also here under new cards, you want to insert things in a random order. You don't want it to be in oldest cards first. You want it to be random. It's just better for your brain. All right, so then after we finish working on our new cards, there's just one other thing. You got to scroll all the way down into advanced and find new interval and change this to 0.7. Or 0.70. What that means is if you have a card that you get all the 4 new answers right and then it becomes a review card and then you get it wrong and it becomes a lapse, after you go through those 4 correct times again to put it back into review, this interval decides how frequently you should see it compared to how frequently you saw it before. By setting it to 70% essentially, you're seeing it a little more frequently, but not so frequently that it's punishing you and you're seeing this card way too many times. So this saves you time. So the only things you need to do is basically copy what I have up here. Although new cards per day, you could do up to 100, 200, however many you want to do. But everything else here needs to be exactly as I have it. You don't really need to change anything else except for scrolling all the way down, and your new interval should be 0.7. All right, so that's it for settings. So what you want to do when you're done with this, go up to save and hit the caret and say add preset, which just means the settings we just made. Let's just give it a name. So let's say nurse ed recommended settings. Hit enter. We're going to save that. And then the way that I have my screen showed up, it already shows me which settings I'm doing, but you'll probably have to click on the gear and go to options, and then you'll see which settings it's using here. Don't do the default, do the ones that we just made. All right, that's settings. All right, so now let's talk about the 2 most common errors that nursing students make that end up kind of robbing the productivity that Anki can give them. The first one is just making way too many cards and drowning themselves in cards, okay? Go back to my previous video on how to study in nursing school and go over the fact that you need to conceptually understand things before you just start memorizing. That being said, when you are at the point in your studies where you need to memorize things, this is where Anki is very powerful. But if you make 50 cards for every lecture, within a couple weeks, you're going to have hundreds and hundreds of cards that are just going to be unmanageable for you. So a general rule that I recommend is for every hour of lecture, try to do not any more than 10 or 12 cards. All right. That seems like a very small amount, but if you're really doing a good job studying, using Notion like I mentioned in my other video, and using active recall, you're not going to need all of these cards. These cards are only for those last remaining very high yield or very hard to remember things. Something I learned from a medical student when I was doing my DNP program, a framework that kind of helped me not make too many cards, was everything you learn in school fits into one of 4 buckets. The first one is things you absolutely have to know. Those things should be a closed deletion in your flashcard. The next thing is things that would be very helpful to know. That should be included in the context on the front of a card. Every time I flip this card, I'm going to see it, I'm going to read it, but I'm not necessarily actively testing myself on it. So that would be something that's very helpful to know, but not necessarily like 100% I have to know it. Now, the third category of things are things that are somewhat helpful, but I wouldn't really have to see it all the time. That can be put on the back of the card. And so that's why sometimes I'll put the rest of the PowerPoint on here. It just gives me extra context. The back of the card is also useful for just any kind of context, right? So if you found a YouTube video that was particularly helpful, sometimes I'll put the URL for that YouTube video actually on the flashcard so that when I'm studying, if I can't remember something, I literally just click on the link, boom, YouTube pulls up, and I'm watching the video. Or I'll screenshot things from Google. I'll do a whole bunch of things on the back of the card. That back of the card can be very, very helpful. Then the fourth bucket of things is just something you don't need to know, and that shouldn't be anywhere in Anki because it's a waste of your time. So 4 buckets, follow that rule, and that will help you to avoid flashcard overload. The second error that most nursing students make is simply just not doing their reviews every day. Anki works on the assumption that you are going to do those review cards every day. If you don't, you again are hamstringing the algorithm and you're not letting it do the work for you. You have to do your review cards every day. Just take the 10 to 30 minutes to do it. It is totally worth it. Play the long game, do the cards. It will help you. All right, so now we're going to talk about downloading pre-made decks or decks that another student or another professor made. It can save you a lot of time. All right. Now, pre-made decks are a double-edged sword, because not only is there some intellectual benefit in making your own card, A, it's more personalized to what you need, B, there's increased memory and retention from just making your own cards, but sometimes you do save a lot of time if someone can make a high quality deck, and you just spend the time studying, and that makes up for the time that you may not have gained from making the cards yourself. Now, there's two ways to get a pre-made deck. Most commonly, you go to the Anki web website and you download it from there. So I'll show you how to do that. So from the Anki app, you go right here to Get Shared, and that'll link you up to Anki web. And then you just search here for shared decks from anything you may want. So let's just search nursing. Then you can find one. They're usually rated. Nursing doesn't really have a lot of Anki decks, unfortunately, but there's some here. I'm just going to pick, there's this one, Nursing Lab Values. It's got 4 thumbs up. Okay, it's something. Some people left some ratings. You scroll down and you hit download. That will download a value or a file here. I've already done it a couple times, you can see. Then go back into Anki, go to File, Import, go to your Downloads folder and pick the one that you just did. And it will add all of these files or these flashcards into your system. Hit Close. Open up your app again, and bam, here's this Lab Values pre-made deck already imported into my Anki. I'm not really a fan of this one. I just wanted to give you an example. Also, in the description below, I'm going to give you guys access to the deck that I was going through earlier, this particular nursing pharmacology, or at least introduction to it. So you guys will have these flashcards available to you in the description below. So check those out, download the file, and do it the same way. Go into Import and import the file from your Downloads folder. Then you can kind of check out my flashcards. I really try to make them higher quality, helpful for you. Start playing around with them. You can edit them, do all the things there that you want to do. Now, when you download a pre-made deck, you have to do this one thing. Promise me you will do this one thing. You click on the deck that you just downloaded, then you go to Browse, and that pulls up this table here, which is a list of all of the cards in your deck. I'm going to grab this thing and slide it down so we can see a lot of them. Some decks have a lot of cards in them. Some of the medical school decks literally have like 10 or 20,000 cards in them. You can't obviously do all of those at one time. It's not helpful. If you're ever going to download a pre-made deck, the golden rule is immediately go in, highlight all of them by clicking on the top one, scrolling all the way down to the bottom one, holding Shift and clicking to highlight every single one, then hit Control J, and that suspends the card so it does not show up in your algorithm of what you need to study. Then what you will do as you're going through your class is go through and unsuspend the ones that are relevant. Again, this particular deck is not a great idea because it's just lab values, but I was just trying to find something online. Let's say that you downloaded my particular deck. You go to Browse, and here's all the ones here. Let's say you only needed to know about Schedule C medications and nothing else. I can see that these are my 4 cards about scheduling whatever, so I'm going to shift click the ones I don't need. I'm going to hit Control J to suspend them so that they don't show up in my feed of things I need to study, and now I suddenly only have 4 cards that I need to study. So when I hit study, it's only the scheduling medications that are going to show up. Everything else has been suspended. Now, as I go through my semester, I will go into that browser and unsuspend the things by hitting Control J that I need to start practicing. And now those will start to show up as well, okay? It may not make sense with 20 cards because you're like, oh, I can just bust out 20 cards. Yes, but if you download a deck that has 500, 600, 700 cards in it, you can't do all those at one time. So download the pre-made deck if you want it, suspend everything, and then go through and unsuspend what you are currently learning. Now, a well-made deck will be able to be organized in a way that you can easily unsuspend things. So as I am making flashcards for you guys, you'll notice that they are kind of divided by cardiology, neurology, things like that. So you would just go through and unsuspend neurology during your neurology lecture or something like that. So that's a pre-made deck. Hope that's helpful. If you liked this video, then you will probably also like this other video about how to study, not only with Anki, but also with Notion. It's a more comprehensive approach to studying in nursing school that's evidence-based. Strongly encourage you to check it out. Thanks for your time, guys. How to boost your productivity with the right settings. That's my cat.